think there must be something wrong with me, Linus. Christmas is coming, but I'm not happy. I don't feel the way I'm supposed to feel. I just don't understand Christmas, I guess. I like getting presents and sending Christmas cards and decorating trees and all that, but I'm still not happy. I always end up feeling depressed.
Charlie Brown, you're the only person I know who can take a wonderful season like Christmas and turn it into a problem. Maybe Lucy's right. Of all the Charlie Browns in the world, you're the Charlie Browniest.
Sleigh bells in the air, beauty everywhere. Yuletide by the fireside, and joyful memories there. Christmas time is here, families drawing near.
Me too, Charlie Brown. Me too. Hey kids, welcome to the Far Out Podcast and Merry Christmas. And I'll be honest with you kids, the last episode I put out, I did not think that was my best work. I wasn't in the best headspace when I recorded that one. And so I wanted to offer a type of palate cleanser episode to really just give myself peace of mind and to, put my best foot forward with y'all. And so that's why I'm coming to you with an episode on Christmas Day. For those of you who are listening on Christmas Day at the 25th, thank you. I hope you're enjoying the holiday. And for those who are listening later in the week after Christmas, I hope you have a good new year. So this episode might be a little shorter than usual. Usually I run around an hour and a half, which is fine. That's not my intention. This thing could go for an hour or 3 hours. It doesn't matter. But I think this one will be a little shorter, probably coming in under an hour, but we'll see where it goes. But I do want to talk about some stuff with y'all. The first one in question is revisiting the topics of food, as I want to discuss burritos versus enchiladas. Yes, I want to dive into that topic here. And I think on its surface, people will hear this and go, what are you talking about? Burritos all day. Who cares about enchiladas? In fact, what even is an enchilada? And you wouldn't be wrong for asking that question, for holding those opinions. Who cares? What is an enchilada? Because in the world of Mexican cuisine, especially between these two, one is much more widely known, much more accessible. The other is not. Let's start with burritos. Burritos are an incredible food. They're an incredible vessel of flavor. The shape, the way it's packed, it makes it versatile and mobile. You already have that in spades over the enchilada, which is much more of a sit-down type meal, but we'll get there. But burritos, I mean, come on. You can get artisanal ones that run you $15 plus, real hearty suckers that are packed to the brim. Or you can get some quick Joe Schmo slappy burrito at your local Taco Bell or Taco John's for a cool $3. Sky's the limit. But burritos are much more of a ground and pound meat and potatoes food, meant to be taken on the go, meant to not be taken very seriously. You can eat it with one hand. They're very great, just kind of gotta go fast, gotta eat something, let's go, go, go. Also with burritos, you can bring in a wide variety of flavor palettes, most notably with the breakfast burrito type of option. I mean, that alone is a powerhouse food in of itself. Who doesn't like to start their day off with breakfast burritos? When you're getting together with the fellas and someone says, I'm bringing over breakfast burritos, you're like, oh my gosh, thank Christ. Like, this is going to be a good way to start the day. Something fast and greasy. So, no, burritos, on its surface alone, they're the heavy hitter. They're the Yankees. They're the Patriots. I mean, they've got everything in spades there. However, don't discount enchiladas. Everyone loves an underdog. Everyone loves a comeback story. And if you're not familiar with enchiladas, allow me to introduce you to them. Enchiladas are not very different from burritos. They're in the same shape. They often have similar ingredients. They're both wrapped tightly in burritos, sometimes corn, sometimes flour. Tortillas, excuse me, not burritos. The thing about enchiladas, though, is that they're much more of a sit down, we're about to dine and feast type of food. I often classify, or I think I classify enchiladas as more of a meal, whereas burritos, you know, in a pinch, they can be a meal, but burritos are kind of more of just food. They're almost like a large snack. Enchiladas are a meal because they're meant to be sit down and enjoyed. When you go to a fancy restaurant, to a Mexican restaurant, if you order an enchilada, that thing is covering the whole plate. Just plain and simple. They're fat. They're usually covered in sour cream and cheeses, and you have to eat them with a fork and a knife because they're so full, they're so hearty. And if you pick one up, if you try to pick it up, you're an animal because it's going to get all over your hands and it's just going to fall out. And so it doesn't work in that sense. I'd almost describe enchiladas and burritos as the same food because burritos are really, again, more to just be enjoyed on the go, whereas enchiladas are almost more of the kind of sit down, let's enjoy our evening type of burritos because there is so much overlap there. So again, for all the love that I give burritos, for all the joy that I can have with it, just eating it as I go, there is a certain appeal to enchiladas because they take more time to prepare. They're usually more filling. I've often had leftovers when I eat an enchilada, whereas with burritos, you can even eat 90% of it and toss it. With an enchilada, you're not doing that. If you are, that's a freaking crime, and you should be brought to task for that. But I get it. When it comes to enchiladas, I don't think that people really know what they are. I think people don't distinguish them between burritos or chimichangas. But I love a good enchilada. If I'm out to eat at a nice restaurant and I see enchiladas are on the menu, I'm definitely going to give them a look. Don't know if I'll get them, but I'm definitely giving them a look because they are more of a rare-ish type of food. Whereas burritos, you can get those things at a freaking truck stop. So burritos, love you. You're very quick, very easy. You're a comfort food. Enchiladas, on the other hand, they are more artisanal, more of a succulent type of food, more of a, well, not to overuse the analogy, it's wine versus beer. Enchiladas are meant to be enjoyed slowly. They are wine, and burritos are beer. But hey, there's that. There's nothing wrong with either wine or beer. Just kind of depends on what you're in the mood for. But for myself, between the two, if I had to pick, I'd probably go enchiladas. But again, I love a good burrito. So yeah, if you haven't had an enchilada in a while, I recommend. So anyway, moving on. Seamless segue. We are now going to transition out of the more fun, fluffy food stuff into some more serious stuff. We're going to be discussing a conspiracy theory. Yes. Yes, kids, we're getting into the world of mystery here on the Far Out podcast. And this is a conspiracy theory that you, yes, you, can interact with right now. This is not something like Area 51 or the Bermuda Triangle. Oh no. No, no, no. You can easily go and check this out, experience it, and try to find answers for yourself. And I am, of course, talking about the Denver airport. Yes, for the price of one plane ticket, you can deduce whether or not this is a weird place that is creepy and has intrigue in it, or if it's just an airport. But I've been to the Denver airport, and I can very confidently say, yes, it is a weird place. But the Denver airport itself had a kind of a weird construction, so we're going to dive into that. The Denver airport is exactly how it sounds. It's a fully functioning airport. But its unusual construction that took place back in the 80s has been linked to everything from Mayan death prophecies to secret bioweapons to hidden bunkers meant to house the New World Order. Ooh, we're getting super spooky here. But yes, let's dive in. Construction began in 1989 with a planned opening in 93. but the project faced several setbacks. This is because the project grew beyond being just a traditional airport and instead got turned into a quote cultural monument. So yes, the planners and investors of the airport, they didn't want it to just be a hub for air traffic. No, they wanted it to be culturally significant for the state of Colorado, for the country of the United States, and for the world at large. So again, we're already getting a little big for our britches here, but let's continue onward. This led to the construction being more influenced by art instead of functionality. A man named August Perez was the original architect, but reportedly designed plans for buildings so intricate and bizarre that they couldn't literally have been built with the technology and the resources available back in the late 80s and early 90s. He was then dropped from the project. A new man came on, he took creative lead, and his name was Jim Bradburn, who wanted the construction to be cognizant of the nation's past while also looking towards the world of tomorrow. This then led to odd design choices. Bradburn really followed in Perez's footsteps here. One interesting or rather odd thing in question is the airport's roof itself, which was designed to look like tent or teepee structures to honor the past and to acknowledge the Native Americans. But beyond just the exterior with the roof, there are strange art pieces that run throughout every building of the airport. Some of them are murals, such as in peace and harmony with nature, and I'll pull up a picture of that now. And on its surface, at a quick glance, I think that this looks fine enough. I think if you're not paying attention, you're just trying to get to your gate, you won't bother too much with it. But if you take a closer look at this mural, you'll see that this is kind of a distressing piece overall. Let's break it down. In the bottom right, you have what looks like a dead child who is laying in a funeral type position holding flowers. Opposite her on the left is another child who is in the same position, also holding flowers. Just above the dead woman on the left there is a dead sea turtle, or at least a turtle in distress, which looks like it's been wrapped up with some kind of wire. Then you also have a breaching whale, which is breaching next to a penguin inside of a glass case. Above the penguin, you have a girl looking distressingly down at the penguin. In the middle here, you have what looks like children gathering around a dead leopard on a bed of flowers. Off to the right, you have a kid holding a bird inside of another glass case. You also have a kid standing above one of the other dead kids. Looks like he's holding some type of squirrel. Who also looks distressed. You have a buffalo, which looks like he's wearing a collar of some kind. And then you also have up top here in the background, you have another bird, looks like to be in another glass case, surrounded by a burning woodland, or at least a forest that's been lit on fire of some sort. I don't know what this is fully trying to convey. My first guess is that this is meant to be some statement about wildlife conservation, destruction of the planet, pollution perhaps. But it's certainly distressing. I mean, you have children, some of which are dead, and then you have others in a panic state as they see wildlife, be killed or outright have their places destroyed, their homes destroyed. So yes, I mean, is this outright a piece of just absolutely evil art? No, I don't think so. It's not like it's screaming halt or anything like that. But it's certainly odd. It's not inviting. That's for darn sure. It will not leave me with the warm and fuzzies as I glide through the airport here. As I said, I've been to the Denver airport. I did not see this. I saw some other stuff, which I'll talk about a little later. But yeah, if I did see this as I'm trying to catch my flight, I don't think I'd like it too much. I don't think I'd like that too much. So that's just one sign of kind of the odd place that is the Denver airport. Moving on though to another mural. This one is called Children of the World Dream of Peace. And I'll pull up this one here in just a minute. And again, very similar to the other one that has to do with nature. This one, at a first glance, looks rather wholesome, colorful, has to do with children, so that's good. Well, when you take a closer look here, you can see that these are children of various nations coming together. They are carrying with them bundles of weapons, notably swords. They're bringing it over to a central anvil, and then children are using hammers to destroy the swords. And then what you see here on the bottom is that they are doing this all over a fallen, dead Nazi stormtrooper. And the reason why you can tell that this is in fact a stormtrooper is because of the crest at the helmet there, as well as the shoulder pauldrons as well. And this is also this airport was designed in the aftermath of World War II, only just a couple decades removed there. And then if you were to do some more research on it, you could see that this has been identified as a Nazi stormtrooper. So again, on its surface, not anything too, you know, well, I mean, it's certainly weird. I was going to say not anything too weird, but it is weird. It's not anything too egregious, but it is just kind of, again, it's unsettling. The idea that children are going to be destroying weapons over a dead Nazi. On paper, that sounds good because it's let's pursue peace. Let's remove ourselves from the past. We are not Nazi Germany. Be thankful that we're not. But again, it's just odd for an airport that's going to be visited by hundreds of thousands of people, and you only have so much wall space. It's just an odd choice to have stuff like this in it. But that's not all. That's just some of the stuff inside there. What is also in the airport, and I'll throw up pictures of this as well, is that there are gargoyles all around the airport, just at various corners, on various walls, and they're certainly weird. This is something that I did see when I went to the Denver airport. I did see gargoyles, and they're kind of ominous looking. What also is at the Denver airport is a time capsule with the Freemasons logo on it. I did not see this part, but in my research of the airport, when I found out that this was a part of it, I was kind of glad to have not seen that because time capsules are cool. They're cool, don't get me wrong. But the Freemasons, you can Google them. They're kind of the prototype Illuminati, if you believe in that stuff. And so yeah, they're kind of creepy. So go look into them, and then you can ask yourself, why does part of the Denver airport have a Freemasons logo on it? I don't know, but the real creepiest thing that I saw, and I think this kind of is the cherry on top of the cake here, is that there is a giant 32-foot tall statue of a bucking blue horse with flaming red eyes that stands outside the airport. And this thing looks ominous and aggressive and has been given the name of Blucifer by the populace of Colorado because people think it looks like it's a kind of demon. And I don't blame them. This thing is creepy looking, to say the least. I don't think this represents power. I don't think this represents Colorado in a very fashionable light. I think this thing just gives off a sense of anger and aggression, and I'm not a fan of it. Plus, if you go into the history of the designing and creation of the statue itself, during its creation and sculpting, a part of it actually fell off and killed its creator. So there's that. There's that. That's real. You can look this all up, and Yeah, so that's not great. Not a great omen there. Also, there have been at least one petition to have it removed from the grounds because people don't really like it anymore, and it has failed. The petition has failed to get any real traction. So Lucifer is still there to this day, and it's still as creepy as ever. And I saw it. Another thing that I noticed while I was in the Denver airport is that I thought the floors literally felt odd, not lumpy, not uneven, just odd, not easily accessible. I don't know what it was. I don't think it was anything that had to do with the flight. I don't think it had anything to do with the shoes I was wearing. To me, it just gave off this kind of sense of, I don't know. It just felt kind of weird to walk on. So maybe that's just me, but I'm just saying I felt like the floor was I it was noticeably strange to the point where I noted it in my brain, and now here I am years later talking about it on a podcast. So again, I thought the floors of the Denver airport felt weird as I walked them. Not a very smooth walk there. But perhaps that has to do with some other parts of the airport's design. So let's continue onward with that. The art itself inside the airport, as I previously mentioned, the murals, the gargoyles, and Lucifer were meant to honor the past, while technology being infused with the airport was meant to point towards the future. The most futuristic design that was supposed to be implemented with the airport was for an automated baggage system where every aspect of this would be operated by robots. So we are just now getting robots thanks to Elon Musk. However, back in the late 80s and early 90s, Denver wanted to have robots all throughout their airport, and they wanted this automated baggage claim to do everything, all by robots, all automated. They wanted it to check bags, weigh them, transport them to and off planes. Everything was meant to be done without the need for human operators, which is a very, lofty idea. By 1990, we'll have flying cars. It's stuff like that, but it's a lot harder to achieve the Jetson style of living, apparently. One way that they wanted to have the automated system load luggage onto planes was by using a catapult-like system to launch them onto the aircraft. This is all real, people. You can all Google this and fact check this, just like I did. And there is documentation of witnesses who saw this happen before the airport officially opened, and they said that they saw a catapult or a cannon type contraption launch bags that ended up going over the aircraft, hitting the side of the aircraft, landing in front of the aircraft, spilling all the contents out. But yes, the Denver airport did not want to do anything simple. They wanted it to be fancy and Gucci, and so they wanted a automated robot cannon to blast luggage into aircrafts. So that's fine, great, good for them. But because of this, with all the new additions and innovations that they wanted to add, what they did to essentially enable the robots to freely move throughout the airport was that they built miles and miles of underground tunnels for the robots to freely transport throughout the facility to get everywhere they needed to be without bumping into all the foot traffic of the human travelers. And the tunnels are the real frosting on top of this cake that has led to so much fervor about conspiracy theories. Because in the year 2024, almost 2025, you can go to the Denver airport, you can see all the artwork I previously mentioned. You will not find robots launching your luggage onto airplanes with cannons because, shocker, the technology wasn't ready yet, and the price was astronomical. Yet they built the airport and constructed it to accommodate this kind of design. So the tunnels are there. They're just not used for the intended purpose. Okay, what are the tunnels being used for then? Would you build a tunnel and not use it? I didn't think so. And so this has led to all the different theories about it being used to human traffic, to uh, build bunkers, to house the elite, because now the Denver airport it's the largest in the U.S., one of the most trafficked in the world. I believe it is at least in the top five, if not the top three, of one that receives the most traffic worldwide, I believe. And so there's a lot of incentive to have a lot of people there. There's been ideas that perhaps, in addition to bunkers that house the elite, that they would also house weapons of mass destruction that the elite could use to begin, nuclear Armageddon. Again, all of this sounds totally crazy, but some of this is all based entirely in the fact that, again, this construction took place. This happened. This is real. And though the airport was planned to be opened in 1993, it ended up opening in 1995, and it had a proposed budget of 2.9 billion, but over its construction it ballooned to over 4.8 billion after all was said and done. So again, it took 2 years longer to build than intended, ended up costing them an extra $2 billion, billion with an illion dollars. So where did that money go to? Perhaps the tunnels. What are the tunnels being used for? Perhaps bunkers. But yes, you can go to the Denver airport and you can look at all the strange artwork there. You can see the gargoyles. You can feel the floor. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. But yeah, the Denver airport is an interesting conspiracy theory. There's a lot of different avenues for it. You can go check it out, and I encourage you to do some research on your own, and then perhaps go visit it. Because it's a nice building, ish, but yeah, it's a little creepy, not gonna lie. So yeah. Anyway, moving on. We are now going to talk about something else that's very real but much more current, and not so much rooted in conspiracy theory, but rather just plain old fact. And this has to do with Justin Trudeau and the great country of Canada here. By the way, kids, forgot to mention in the original recording, Justin Trudeau is allegedly the son of Fidel Castro, as his mother, Margaret Trudeau, allegedly went to Cuba during Castro's reign over that country. And if you look at the image on screen, you'll see that there are some striking physical similarities. So, as we were talking about conspiracy theories earlier with the Denver airport, wanted to just lay this groundwork for a potential other conspiracy theory that has to do with the sitting president Trudeau. Maybe that influences why he's such a lefty McLefterson with all his crazy ideas, but who knows? Anyway, on with the show. Justin Trudeau, known for being handsome, his government almost collapsed on Wednesday. His deputy prime minister resigned, as did his minister of finance. And Trudeau himself is predicted to be stepping down sometime very soon, and a new election will take place at some point. Not entirely sure when that will be, but Canada has had enough of Trudeau's operations. Love him or hate him, whether you know about the inner workings of Canada or not, a quick Google search will be suffice enough to point you in the direction and show you that Trudeau is not popular among his populace. He has done a lot of things that are frankly just not sitting well with his people. The sentiment of him being a failed leader has been a long time coming. It got exasperated and put on Front Street during his handling of the COVID pandemic, but it also has to do with where he wants to take his country. Right now, Canada has a population of just over 40 million people, which is actually quite small. You would think it would have more people. We in America have over 330 million, whereas in Canada, they only have roughly a little over 40. However, Trudeau wants to increase the population of Canada to 100 million through immigration. And this has led to the projection that Canada's economy will decline over the next 30 years. He wants to effectively double, if not outright triple, Canada's population through immigration. On paper, that sounds good because if you have a country that is as free, air quotes free, as Canada is, give us you're hungry, you're tired, you're weak, and you're poor. You can echo the sentiments of America here. But each country has its own infrastructure meant to accommodate so many people. These things take time to accommodate a growing population. The idea that Canada is going to endure as it doubles or triples this population is crazy, because you're going to get people from all over the world who all want to change things, who all want to make their own stamp on Canada. And this is how you lose control of a country. I'm not talking in the sense of, armed riots and upheaval, but I'm talking about this will affect transportation, this will affect housing, this will affect resources available. It's not as simple as come on and we'll figure it out later. And this is something that we're dealing with in America right now with our southern border as we transition administrations. We've had an open border policy here that is affecting our country. It just is. And so the idea that Canada wants to follow in our footsteps and just open up the floodgates to usher in 60 plus million people is crazy. And Trudeau, he has led policies that seem right on paper, but are much more driven by, I'd say, passion as opposed to legitimacy. He often cites how he wants to have his cabinet made entirely of women, which, again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having women in positions of power, but he's doing it to where he has allegedly chosen people just because they're women, as opposed to people who are the best position or the best people for the job. You can either have an A plus man or a B plus woman. He's been choosing B plus women, and as I previously mentioned, his deputy prime minister resigned, as did his minister of finance, and this now marks the fifth woman to leave his cabinet. And every time they leave, they say that he creates a hostile work environment, that he's not as welcoming as he claims to be. He says he's pro-woman, but he's really not. It sounds like there's a lot of friction there. So, again, I don't know what's fully going on over there. I'm just reading the headlines. I'm just giving the news as I see here when I Google it and such, and when I gather on podcasts and our news feeds here. But it's interesting because we now have a president coming in under Donald Trump, who is ushering in a new conservative movement here in America. And it sounds like that's trickling into Canada, our neighbor, because Trudeau is a left-leaning politician and his cabinet has been also left, yet people are now fed up with him and their cabinet. And as his cabinet leaves him, so will the people. And yeah, also just a funny little button here on the Canada thing. The hub of Pornhub is located in Montreal, Canada. So, there's that. So, yeah, Justin Trudeau is providing access to millions for all that garbage. So, yeah, what's going to become of Canada? I'm not fully sure. I imagine that we're going to have a new election up there, and hopefully we get good people in power there. But who knows? Who knows? Funny enough, though, President-elect Donald Trump has jokingly said that America and Canada should merge once he becomes president and once a new election is in place for Canada, since that country's in shambles right now. And he has said that we should effectively count Canada as a new state. And Trump is the kind of guy to where he says stuff as jokes, but there's always a bit of him that's serious. There's always at least 20% of him that's like, yeah, but what if we actually did this? Could we do it? And so let's examine for a minute if what would happen if that were to take place. If that were to happen and Canada became a new quote-unquote state for the U.S., the total land territory of the U.S. would cover over 10% of the Earth's land area. All of Earth's land area would belong to the U.S. That'd be 13% to be exact. It would make it the new largest country. We'd also have the world's largest fresh water supply, a new population of over 370 million people total, and a new GDP of over 28 trillion, making it the world's largest economy. So I see nothing but upside. I see nothing but upside. New elections in Canada, bringing in a new leader. Maybe we can make it a new state for the U.S. under our new president here. I see nothing but upside with that. So, who knows? Maybe for Christmas, we'll all get Canada as a new U.S. state here. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But that is my show for today, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you so much for listening. Thank you again for the continued support. And I just hope you have a good holiday, good Christmas, and a good New Year. And thank you again for tuning in. All right, Batman, take us home.
Alfred, stop the car.
Well, come what may. Merry Christmas, Mr. Wayne.
Merry Christmas, Alfred. Goodwill toward men.